For those who are unfamiliar, this is Steven Crowder. He is a right-wing political commentator, an extremist, and to my knowledge, he's like the biggest conservative political commentator on YouTube, I think. He's got like 5 million subbies or something. Well, there was this whole thing that happened not too long ago where he was offered a $50 million contract by the Daily Wire, by Ben Shapiro's network, to become one of their hosts or whatever. And he, not only did he decline, by the by, while we watch this, we're going to listen to this video. We're going to play some Breath of the Wild while we do. If you've never played this, don't worry about it. It'll just be in the background here. But anyways, so Ben Shapiro offered him $50 million to become a host, and he declined. And he went on this crusade against Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire and claimed that they're trying to take advantage of people by giving them these bad contracts and blah, 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 blah. It was ridiculous. It was just fabricated drama for the sake of, being fabricated drama. Simple as that. Well, the people at the Daily Wire didn't take kindly to that. And if there's one thing that we know about the people at the Daily Wire, it's that a couple of them, at the very least, can be a little underhanded and dirty, like Candace Owens, for example. So, yeah, she came out and said some questionable stuff about him, said she has information about his life, and if he doesn't clamp it about the Daily Wire, she's going to release that information to the world. This was 3 months ago, I think. Everything had died down and disappeared. It was over Christmas or after Christmas, like January 2023, something like that. Everything had died down by and large. And here we are with Steven Crowder addressing it. He felt the need, even though this had completely died down, to explain what happened, to address Candace Owens, supposed extortion or whatever. So let's listen to him explain what the whole thing was with Candace Owens. It's absolutely absurd, and I'm not even sure I believe him. But, okay, let's listen to this. Quick cutaway. We'll get back to it in a second. Just quick reminder. The YouTube algorithm operates off of a few factors. It pushes a video further if you watch it to the very end, if you like the video, and if you subscribe. If possible, I would appreciate it if you guys watched my videos to the very end at least. If you start one, make it to the end. All right, sorry for the interjection. Let's continue.
Hey, we'll be on with your regular programming and Nick DiPaolo in third chair in a little bit, but needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun. But, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through...
Okay, we're going to get to it in a sec. It's about his divorce. I'm not convinced that's it. But he also, video surfaced of him saying that he was bi at one point in his life. And when a conservative says that they're bi, what it really means is that they're gay and they don't want to come out and admit that they're gay, usually. When a socially conservative, extremist kind of person who can't handle the idea that they're gay comes out and says that they're gay, it's usually a little bit deeper than that. So I suspect that he's lying even about this. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's that he is gay. Maybe it's that he's getting divorced because he's gay. I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? I just don't believe his story, but let's keep listening here.
On years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore.
Okay, well, that's how it works, right?
And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted.
Okay. It sounds like he's opposed to the fact that people can make decisions for their own lives. That's completely permitted, he says. Yeah, obviously, people can make choices for their own lives if they want.
It's been the most heartbreaking experience of my life, what I consider to be my deepest personal failure. And just so you know, my opinions on parenting and families have not changed.
Well, it is relevant that he cares about like the views on children and parents and all that other junk, because this would be a deeply hypocritical situation if it was his choice, because this is like all he talks about is families and parents and single parent households and stuff like that.
I've always believed that children need a mom and a dad, that divorce is horrible, and I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter.
Wow, dude. My beliefs don't matter, he says. So he's basically advocating for forcing his wife to stay with him because it's his religious belief. Like, wives should not be allowed to leave their husbands under any circumstances without the husband's permission, because that's just what he believes. That's how it is. That is psychotic. And by the way, this type of twisting around the talking points, twisting around the narrative, it's called Darvo. What is it? What's Darvo stand for now? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's deny. I remembered it before it even popped up. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, or reverse victim order, depending on whatever. Anyways, the idea is actually implemented by the KKK all the time. It's been implemented by the KKK for like decades and decades and decades. Pretend that you are the mistreated one, the persecuted one, even though you are actually the one trying to violate people's rights. Okay, so we live in a society where men and women are equals and free to make choices of their own accord. If Steven Crowder's wife wants to divorce him, she's perfectly legally free to do so. But Steven Crowder doesn't like that. So he's going to Darvo his wife, flip it around, and make her the bad guy. He's going to claim that his beliefs are being violated. His religious rights are being taken away from him because he's not allowed to oppress somebody else. Like I said, the KKK has been doing this for years. When black people got the right to go to the same school as white kids, the KKK said poor white kids are losing their ability to, live their life according to their beliefs. Their religious beliefs are being violated because their religious beliefs are that black kids should not be in the same room as them. Or these white kids are not being allowed to express their religious beliefs because schools have banned teachers from leading students in prayer. And that is a violation of these kids' religious rights because they want to pray with their teacher, ignoring the fact that it's actually the other people in the equation that are having their rights taken away. That's very intentional. And that is exactly what Steven Crowder is doing here. These are KKK talking points and strategies. The KKK has been doing this exact thing for years, for decades. Hell, centuries? Maybe. So anyways, Steven Crowder is super upset that his wife is allowed to make decisions for herself because he's upset that she is a free agent because he isn't allowed to control her anymore. That's what he's saying right now. Seriously. Doesn't get clearer than this.
Dad, that divorce is horrible, and I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter. In Texas, divorce is permitted when one party wants it, period. So for well over a year, in the best interest as well as physical safety of my children, we've decided to keep this issue private and to resolve it privately with the appropriate attorneys, what have you, legal jargon. And all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve.
Did anybody accuse the children of it being at fault? Aren't they like a year old at most? I mean, his wife just had twins, right? Why did he bring the kids into this at all? This is weird and confusing.
Children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically.
Ah, he's using them as a shield, is what he's doing. He says, if you dig into my divorce at all, then you're hurting my children, and there's your reason not to do it. So this is going to be relevant in a second. Candace Owens came out and said, there's something questionable happening right now, something shady going on, right? And she said that she would reveal it soon if he, continued his crusade against the Daily Wire or whatever. And he's saying, well, here's what it is. It's a divorce, and my kids are blameless, okay? Don't blame my kids for this. You can't blame them. Nobody even considered blaming your kids. This is the clearest example of using kids as a shield that I think I've ever seen.
To do so. Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if...
How? I mean, is their safety, compromised now that you've come out and released this video? In what way was their safety in danger if the public knew that you were going through a divorce? What are you even talking about? This is nonsense. Either their safety was never in danger, or it's in danger now, right? He's using his kids as a shield. This is dirty, and people fell for this.
If you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Okay, yeah. So he's talking about Candace Owens right now. Like I said in the beginning of this, the Daily Wire offered him $50 million to be a host there, and he turned on them and attacked them for no reason. He didn't even have to do that. He could just said, no, I'm good. And his complaints about contracts and taking advantage of people, this is all fabricated. This is a standard boilerplate contract that he was offered by the Daily Wire. He was not being taken advantage of or whatever by the Daily Wire. That's just garbage. And Candace Owens came out, a member of the Daily Wire, complained to him and said, you know what? I'm going to reveal your dirty secrets if you don't back off the Daily Wire. Now, is that dirty? Oh, yeah, definitely. Candace Owens is about as dirty as it gets in her tactics. I don't condone that. But that's not extortion necessarily. I don't know. I mean, look, you roll around in the mud with pigs, you're going to get muddy, right? That's the saying. I guess it is extortion, or I guess the technical definition probably doesn't meet extortion or blackmail or whatever, but it was dirty at the very least, right? But if you roll around with pigs, you're going to get dirty.
Stephen has a lot going on, I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. Stephen purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. Maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Oh, my children.
So basically, she was saying, if you don't clamp it, then I'm going to reveal secrets about you. And he claims that secret is he's getting divorced. And he kept it quiet for his kids' safety. Come on. First of all, I don't believe that it's a divorce, or there's more to this story. There's more to this. And second, what does your kids' safety have to do with any of this? Are they safe now? Are they not safe now? It's just absurd. Come on.
don't have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So,
well, I mean, you were being a scumbag, and that's how this works, baby. If you don't like, being in a situation where people are like, where, they have something over you or whatever like this, don't be a scumbag. Don't roll around with pigs if you don't want to get in the mud. This guy openly attacked this woman's network, right? Like, went after it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And, like, used people against each other to just to hurt them, just for the sake of it. When you do that kind of thing, you're gonna find yourself in a pickle, That's how this works, baby. Welcome to the real world, and he knows that.
To those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and, in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life.
And that's her right. That's how this works, right? You're allowed to make your own decisions?
That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are
Wow, dude. He says the law says that's how it works, so I just have to accept that she can make her own choices. That's insane! Does he not see how insane this is? Seriously. Are you not connecting the dots on this? This is absolutely wrong. Like, you want to take people's rights away.
Multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own, in that I picked wrong, and that's certainly not the fault of my children.
Wow, dude. This is just completely ass backwards. Using his kids as a shield again. That's certainly not the fault of my children, so leave them out of it. And if you dig into this in any way, then you're hurting them. And it's not my fault, really. It's my wife's fault. That's the backhanded way of saying that, right? Backhanded compliment, kind of. Like somebody saying, you don't look as fat today as you did yesterday. Backhanded compliment. Those are deeply destructive, by the way. And that's the type of thing that abusers do. It's really my fault. It's my fault, not yours. It's mine, because I picked wrong. Just disgusting, dude. This guy is absolutely terrible in every way.
And I will say that what's in the best interest of my children is not internet drama, speculation, certainly not blatant or veiled shakedowns or dragging their father or mother, and I can't be clear on that enough, or their mother through the mud. And to anyone who tries it, I'm no longer going to pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you.
So he's basically saying, I'm taking the gloves off and I'm going to reveal a bunch of drama to a bunch of people. Or I'm going to start drama. He doesn't even, I don't know that he's even aware of drama. Certainly not now. He tipped his hand and showed himself to be a drama queen before when he attacked the Daily Wire for absolutely no reason. But he's saying that he's prepared to, start all kinds of drama with all kinds of people over nothing, basically, right? Were you not already doing that?
Pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you. And I will continue to do whatever is necessary to protect my children. Discussing the divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to like discuss your personal stuff publicly. But when you find yourself in this type of situation where what you're going through is in direct contradiction to the values that you've espoused your entire life, you could at the very least come out and say, hey, I'm getting a divorce. Say it on Twitter if you want. Say it anywhere. Make the audience aware and say, it's not my choice. I'm not a fan of this, but that's what it is. Could at least do that, but no.
Divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you...
So he's saying he has full confidence in the judicial system, I guess? Well, that makes sense. It favors men, so totally. Well, favors men in some situations. Favors rich men in many cases. Although, I'll be fair, it favors women in child custody and alimony hearings and child support hearings and stuff. So that's not fantastic. That's viewed as a men's rights issue. Really, it's a feminist issue also, because women shouldn't be viewed as the caretakers 24/7.
Matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you understand the need for and respect our privacy in what is obviously a pretty tough time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now,
there's his implicit threat. I hope none of this has to go further than that. Leave my kids out of it. He's using them as a shield, and it's just disgusting and ridiculous.
Of time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now, on with the reason you're all actually here.
Okay, so that was the opener to this. I was absolutely fascinated by that. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. The guy was very obviously using his kids as a shield through that entire thing to prevent anybody from talking about, his divorce or whatever. Just absurd on every level and disgusting.
I just said out of the court. What was that, Nick? Did you spill something?
Did I?
I just saw you look down. Is it what?
No, I was trying to block that horrible sucking of your coffee.
Oh, okay. I think we'll do away with it. We can take a vote on it. And by the way, I think the view counter is working at Rumble. Yesterday it crashed again, so we'll talk about that today. A lot to get to. Biden, former Vice President Biden, re-announced his...
Former Vice President Biden. Isn't that fascinating? They refused to acknowledge that he was the president, even though he is the president actively, currently, right now. Just absurd, dude.
So we'll talk about that today. A lot to get to. Biden, former Vice President Biden, re-announced his re-announcing of his re-election. Yeah. The point is, no one cares. But we'll talk about it because he delivered a commie speech in which everything is verifiably false. You're seeing Don Lemon out. Yesterday, we actually, funny enough, scooped CNN.
We did.
Accidentally, that Tucker is out. And I will tell you this, it's not just about Tucker Carlson. You see the horrible attacks that took place on Matt Walsh. You see Dan Bongino leaving, apparently, obviously, unmutually.
Okay, if you're watching this 5 years in the future, let me give a little context to this. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News recently. Don Lemon was fired on the exact same day. And also, Matt Walsh, a person from the Daily Wire, was hacked. Like, his account was hacked. And, they did, a SIM card swap and social engineering out the wazoo. Is absolutely impressive, I have to say. Not that I stand for hacks. I'm not really a fan of hacking, but anyways, it was deeply impressive how they went about doing it.
Based on Matt Walsh, you see Dan Bongino leaving, apparently, obviously, on mutually okay terms. Mm-hmm. But there's been a shifting landscape in media. And my question to you is, you think that it's an accident? You think that there's a concerted effort at this point? You can comment below.
Do you think there's a concerted effort to what? I don't know. What are they talking about? A concerted effort to what? Because, Dan Bongino being kicked out, Matt Walsh being hacked, Tucker Carlson being kicked out, these are all just things that happen, Apparently, Fox News doesn't want Dan Bongino or Tucker Carlson at their network anymore. They're perfectly free to do that. I don't understand. What's the hang-up? Like, what are you trying to communicate? What's the coincidence here?
Sort of make the case. It's definitely been put into overdrive. DDoS attacks, of course, on Rumble. Yeah. You've seen so many things going on. And also, we're talking about the...
Okay. DDoS attacks happen constantly. Like, I've been DDoS'd before. This happens. It's just like a kind of a, you're sending request after request after request to a website in an attempt to kind of slow down their systems and make them vulnerable to attack. That's what a DDoS is, and it's super common.
The gay throuple.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it's a gay throuple adopting a child. I don't want to let people know much more than that. Because I think that piques your interest. It's a show Monday through Friday, by the way, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want to tune in, head on over to Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, it's live, 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't rely on notifications or any of that crap. All right, Gerald A. A lot of people don't know Gerald B. because you haven't.
Yeah, I think he has a deal with Rumble, I suspect, because he's always shouting out his Rumble. And I don't know. I think he's pretty big on Rumble, too. But I suspect that Rumble's activities are... what's the word I'm looking for here? They're kind of, I think that Rumble is lying about some of the metrics that they show publicly, but who knows?